All right. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our call with Brendan Smith. As always, please raise your hand and I will call on you. We'll start with Audrey Snyder.
Hey, Brandon. Good morning. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. How about you?
I'm doing well, thank you. Brandon, I just wanted to kind of get start by going back to last year, and how do you feel this season compared to where you were last year at this time? I mean, as a player, what's different? How much more comfortable are you now?
I'm very comfortable in the role that I'm playing right now. Being an older guy in the room and becoming that leader that everybody looks up to, I feel really confident in my ability as far as being able to let others know anything that they may need to know about a different position or just playing my role in general and being able to know what I have to do.
Scarcella.
Morning, Brandon. Thanks for doing this.
Oh, no problem.
How would you describe your performance last season? And you mentioned you're an older guy now. How much do you feel like a sense of urgency, like, this is really your time to get it done?
Based on my performance last season, there was definitely some things that I could have done differently towards the beginning of the season and even in the final parts of the season. Even though I had one of my better games at the end of the year versus Illinois, but still there's room to grow regardless. And looking forward into this coming season, it's definitely the time is now as far as what I personally need to do. But for the most part, I'm just doing what I need to do within the framework of the defense and making sure that everything works out fine as far as that.
New Box Wilborn.
Hey, Brandon, thanks for the time, brother.
No problem, no problem.
Man, respect. What has this spring practice been like? For how important has it been for you to have it? And what have you learned about the defense that you've been able to kind of carry from last year?
It's been very important. Our practices have been straight. Us in the offense has been clashing heads the whole entire time, which is what we need for both sides. And just looking forward, this is something that we really needed. And last year we didn't have it. We've seen the result of it. We fell short as far as preparation and what we needed to do. And we didn't play on the level that we were expected to and that we wanted to. Going through this year, spring practice and everything, this is a real major part for us. And this is what we need as a whole team, really, to be where we want to be
at. Tyler Donahue.
Good morning, Brandon. Hope you're doing well.
I'm doing good. How about you?
I'm doing great. Thank you. Looking at something that Coach Price said toward the end of last season, he said he was looking for ways to get you on the field more often, use you in some different ways. Has your role evolved in 2021? Are you expecting to do a little bit more within the defense, maybe attack the quarterback a little bit more? Can you kind of describe how your role has changed since last fall?
It's definitely changed a lot with me switching back over to the will position and really knowing both the will position and the sand position. So really I'm interchangeable as far as that, can definitely stay on the field more when it comes to certain situations and just knowing more in general. As far as my responsibility, as far as rushing the passer, doing whatever like that, it's just based on whatever we call in whatever situation. I know the playbook inside and out for both positions. So I'm not worried about my abilities as far as doing any of those responsibilities.
Donnie Collins.
Hey, Brandon. When Micah left last year, I mean, it probably affected you more than anybody else because it kind of increased your role, put you in the starting lineup for sure. Was that a whirlwind for you looking back? And how do you think you handled that early in the season?
Really, as far as him leaving, it didn't really affect my role when you really think about it, because I was already moved out to Sam and then he left the will position. So that just moved Jesse into that position. So really for me, it didn't do much for me until maybe like the last part of the season, which I started playing more will and just moving around the field a lot more, which ultimately that in that situation, it would have changed more because obviously you have three people that's trying to rotate in one position besides just me and Jesse. So looking back at it, it didn't phase me at all as far as him leaving and me having to do more, really, because I was already preparing to do that throughout the whole fall camp and even in practice, talking over Coach Pryor, all that.
We'll go to David Melandra.
Hey, Brandon, got two questions for you. One, what can you take away from last season being in the bubble format? And second, what is the one thing you can definitely improve from last year going into this year?
Okay, answering question one, I feel us being in the bubble setting, it was kind of difficult as far as, socially for us and just being real distance from like the general population, just being stuck to just straight academics football like that, which is, it's not really difficult when you have your mindset to it, but really just not having that outside connection from other people that where you can just get away from the football things. That really kind of messes with you a little bit, but for the most part, as long as you're focused through it, then you'll be fine. And the second question was, how did something go through the season? I may ask.
What did you take away from last year going into this year? What can you improve on?
Okay, there's many things I can improve on. I've been looking back at the film and even throughout our practices and just seeing the little small things that I can definitely improve on. For me, using my hands more. I've been working with the defensive ends a lot more, defensive linemen, as far as me having my strike and working on my hands. And that's really the biggest thing that I can take away that I need to work on, besides even getting more in depth with knowing my responsibility throughout the plays and everything like that. So really that's just the little things that I need to work on personally.
David Eckert.
Hey, Brandon, how you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. How about yourself?
Good, thanks. How would you, kind of explain the differences in your responsibilities between, when you're playing at Will and when you're playing at Sam?
For the Sam, it's more so you're like a hybrid safety, so to say, because like obviously you're out on two, depending on whatever call it is, more so in coverage, and just you're not really in the run game as much, depending like I said before, depending on the call. So me being in the box more, there's a lot more things I have to look for as far as the different line movements and recognizing whether it's power counter, any type of misdirection type stuff. So really, those have just been the little differences between me being out of Sam and me being at Will now.
Mark Brennan.
Brandon, now that you're a veteran in the room, I wanted to ask you about a couple of the younger guys, Curtis Jacobs and Kobe King. What can you tell us about them? We really haven't seen a whole heck of a lot of them. Thank you.
No problem at all. And Curtis, he was behind me last year, so I was definitely helping him out as far as just the small things that he might have had questions on. Sam is really it's a real easy position to learn, but there's multiple different techniques that we would have to learn throughout the playbook. So for the most part, it's just those little technique things, and like just say I would be like, okay, when we're this play, I would line up on the slot this type of way and play this type of leverage. Just those small little things like that really makes a big difference within that position. And as far as Kobe, he's been making great strides throughout the spring practice. He's a new guy coming in early enrolled, and he's definitely ahead of what I was when I first came in, as far as the knowledge of the playbook and just being as comfortable as he is right now. Me coming out of high school, I was in a position to where in high school I was just playing and just basically roaming freely. And him being from where he's from, they had a more structured defense, and he's basically just moving into a whole nother structure, which is he has an upper hand as far as that. So I don't have any doubts that either one of them won't see any time on the field and they won't make an impact. I don't see any problem with them not making an impact.
Daniel Gallen.
Hey Brandon, when you look behind you on the defense at the safety position, what has stood out about Jaquan Brisker coming back and some of the other young guys competing for position back there?
Brisker coming back is a big game changer. As far as him and his status, he understands that he has unfinished business and that he admitted that he has unfinished business that he wants to complete. And so that's the main reason why he came back. He feels like this is the best option for us. We are fully supportive of whatever he chose, and he chose to come back. So we're glad that he did, and we're gonna put in work on the field every single day to prove that hey, this was the best decision that he made. And as far as the other safeties, they're coming up right behind them, and they're listening to what he says. Him and John Sutherland, they're the two veterans in the group, and they're giving everybody else the tools that they need to do to be very successful.
We'll go to T Frank.
Hey, Brandon, last year with everything that happened, it felt like the linebackers kind of struggled throughout the season and it felt like things were pretty unsettled. First off, is that fair? And do you feel like this year, if it is, things are more settled in spring ball? Do you guys feel like there's a better comfort level with, being in the defense?
I'm sorry, how did the first part of the question go?
Do you feel like last year the linebackers in general there was an unsettled feeling in the season and it was a tough year for the unit?
I mean, I feel like as a whole team, trying to call me. Don't know. I got an interview. Um, as far as the whole season in general, it was kind of tough for us because unlike other teams, they had spring ball. We didn't have a spring ball, and there was definitely things that we couldn't have got done within that time because we were at home. So I wouldn't say there was a that's a tough question to answer, but going throughout the season, that we just dropped the ball in general as far as what we needed to do, what we wanted to do. And that's just all it is. We can't make any excuses as far as not having a spring ball, whatever it is like that. We knew the job that we had to complete. We didn't complete it. That's cut and dry how it was. We just dropped the ball.
Audrey Snyder.
Brandon, whether it was, when you've been on the field this spring or somebody on the defense, who and what has been the most impressive this spring? Like, did somebody make a really good play? What's one thing that stood out to you or someone this spring?
Really, everybody on the defense has been making plays and stepping up in whatever role that they have. And really just seeing everybody coming together. And if one person makes a mistake, there's even defensive backs that are talking to the defensive linemen and saying how they can change what they do to help each other out, what can be done. Defensive linemen, they're coming up to me and telling me things that I need to do in order to make it the better situation for them and also for me to do my job to official level. So really just seeing everybody talking to each other, whether it's whatever position, and just coming together and making the correct changes has really just impressed me throughout the spring ball.
Tyler Donahue.
Brandon, since you have so much experience learning the position, playing the position, what do you think Curtis Jacobs is a good fit for this team at Sam? Why do you think it makes sense for him? Why do you think it makes sense for the Nittany Lions?
Really, he has that defensive back type background with him in high school and even him previously playing football before the time he was even recruited. His movements and everything definitely shows that he's meant for that position. And even when he comes back in the box, he's even able to beat blockers and just be efficient within the box. So, like the Sam position is a tricky position to even explain because there's so much that you do. Even depending on the formation or just the play in general, there's a wide variety of things that you have to do. So really, he's not limited at all as to his abilities, and that's really why that he's there at that position. He's definitely grown from the time he came here to now, and he's definitely one to look out for.
Rich Garcella.
Brandon, you mentioned earlier about your move to Will late last season. Do you feel like your group and the defense as a whole played better when you moved to Will? And secondly, can you give us your thoughts and impressions on what you see from the offense this spring?
As far as my move to Will, it wasn't official until coming into spring ball. So really, I was already at it. I was at Sam the whole time throughout last season, and during like certain sets or personnel that we had, then I would move over to the Will position because we had probably had like nickel, we had more defensive backs in the game. I just moved over to Will just to stay on the field. As far as the offense, there's obviously new things that the offense is going to be doing throughout the season, and they're really efficient in what he does. Says you can look at his resume. Everybody knows how he is. He's a very efficient coach, and I don't have any doubts that the offense will not do their job. They will do their job, and they'll do it well.
Time for two more. Donnie Collins.
Brandon, earlier you mentioned the leadership role you've taken on. Do you enjoy that, and why do you think you're uniquely suited for it?
I enjoy that. For me personally, like even outside of football, I love helping people, love being someone that people can come up to and talk to about anything. So really being in this leadership role isn't anything new to me. So you can look through all through high school, I would coach little league teams. I'll help out in the community. I was a mentor to a kid in the elementary school who wasn't in the best situation. I still keep in contact with him and his family to the day. So being that type of leader and role model isn't a new role for me. I'm definitely equipped for it, and I look forward to doing it every single day.
Last question, T. Frank.
Hey, Brandon, when it comes to making impact plays on the defense, is there a difference in position as far as the access to being able to make tackles for loss, or there, even plays on the ball between the two positions that you were at last year? Do you feel like this year you'll be able to make more impact plays based on where you're lining up on the field?
I definitely feel that there is a difference as far as being able to make more plays as far as my position and just where I'm at line up on the field. But for the most part, it's all about your will and your want to be able to make plays. Even at safety and stuff like that, you want to get to the ball, you want to be around the ball. And as long as you will yourself to be that type of player, then I mean, the sky's the limit. I wouldn't say that Sam limited me from any plays because I definitely made plays in times of need, made impact plays. And there's times at Will this year where I definitely will be making impact plays out, speaking into existence. It's just something that is just a mindset. It's just something that you have to want to do.